I come from Nyeri, and you find that is a whole report on how that money has been stored. So, and you don't get to go anywhere, because if 6 billion comes to Nyeri and is taken out, his money is not even a corrupt. If they are not even spending it in Nyeri, it's one thing to steal it and spend it there, but all of it is actually being shipped out. If you see where I am going, isn't it? So you go to Nyeri and you find the hospitals don't have medicine, people are sharing beds, they are covering a torn blanket, 2 of them, they can't even afford to have porridge. That is a tragedy and a crisis of this country. But I want to let you know that some of these things that we are thinking about, if you are in Nairobi, and we were there in 2000 when Kina Equity, and I see my friend Gakuru here, and we have worked there together. At Equity, I used to be director of policy, he was director of marketing and product development. Just not so long ago, 2000, thereabout, Equity was a small little thing, making about 1 billion shilling. It was actually a small microfinance institution. And what did they do? Somewhere in 2006, went to London and raised, was it 10 billion Kenya shillings, thereabout, if I'm not wrong, and they injected it. The previous year, they had made 1.2 billion in pre-tax profit, and then they injected this money. The next year, 2007, the profit before tax doubled to 2 billion. How much did the Equity close with last year? Do you, anybody who knows? It was 22 billion. A journey of 10 years. Are you together? 22 billion from 1.2 billion. They have grown that business 22 times. When we were working there, even when we were working there, we were still hearing stories in bank ya watchmen. That bank ya watchmen has grown from making 1 billion to making 22 million. The kind of thing we are thinking about, my brothers and sisters, is to think that way. Are you together? And you see, the worst thing that can happen, what's the worst thing that can happen? To dare to be successful. Singapore and us, we were at the same point GDP per capita in 1969-70. Exactly the same. There is nothing that those guys inherited. From Malaysia, in fact, were kicked out by Malaysia. In fact, one of their hotels was bombed because they wanted to be battled with Malaysia to be part of the country called Malaysia. Are you together? And the guys in Malaysia, the mainland, did not want them because of a small island of poor people. But they have worked. If you go there, they have the tallest building and the highest income per capita. There is in the world today. How did they do it? They did not have rivers like we do. They don't have any natural resources to talk about. They had just one national asset, their port. And they have built their country from there. And in Singapore, there is only 1% of people who are poor, classified as poor. What's the percentage of poverty in Kenya? 46%. So you can see how far we have got to go. Now, when we are here and the older people have done whatever they have done, and I have young people looking at me coming from college, and I was in college about 20 years ago, 20-something years ago, the thing I must give these people is hope. Because we have to actually try.
True.
If you look outside, and even where we are seated, these buildings did not exist more than 10 years ago. Before Mwai Kibaki came in, and I'm not saying him because he comes from a particular tribe. Are you together? There was no real estate that was going on in Nairobi. The biggest piece of project we did, and it was done by government, was Buruburu Estate. Before, for more than 20 years backwards. And the government was the only one doing any serious project at Daniel Arap Moi. And I have nothing against Muse. Are you together? And the project he did was Kasarani. Are you together? I don't know, Nyayo was done around at the same time. He built 2 stadiums. Are you together? But there was nothing that was being built by the private citizens. And I want you to note that. When you open your eyes and you see construction going on, it's because a little bit of a conducive environment has been put in. Now, there has been corruption, and we know. People carrying money from banks in sacks. Yeah? We know that. We know that, and we are mad about it like hell. We are mad. Are you together? Although occasionally there was a study done of young men who don't mind the corruption as long as the money is going to them. And I really hope you get mad with it. But what we need to do is stop Akina Kabura and the others and stop them proper. And they say no to that kind of behavior because it don't benefit anyone. In Botswana, they have a crime called murder to the nation. If you steal diamond in Botswana, they will hang you. Are you together? Yeah, but here we appear to celebrate when people steal from the public. In fact, the people who invite them to pray for them is the archbishop and the bishop. And we are very happy they have taken money in the church. And you know that money is stolen.
Yes.
And you are very happy to receive that kind of money. Finally, let me put this. Pension funds have a lot of money, but how are they organized? Do they even understand the power? Some of the funding models we are talking about, we don't need to go to international markets to get bank guarantees. If these pension funds can actually give those guarantees, we can be able to do these projects. Right together. But who are running these pensions? What are the rules that governs how they invest? You have heard that story in Karen about a pension. You remember that piece of land and the story about it? Now, again, the issues that we have. We are going to look for these solutions sometimes because the local financial system is not configured to do this. We have tried to actually raise bank guarantees from a bank here, and they will not give a bank guarantee. And all thing I need is to actually raise that bank guarantee, and they create a tradable instrument out of it, and we are able to get the funding to do the projects that we need to do. It's not because we've not tried, we have tried. Finally, for these guys on the project they want to do, when you plan, young people, is you don't just plan for Kenya. Are you together? You plan for the region. Kenya is a small country, 60 billion US dollars. So a project of 10B is really confusing because who are you going to sell it to? Are you together? But if you think about East African community, then you're not talking about 44 million people. You're thinking about 125 million, 130. But even better, why not think of the Eastern African region? So that then you are talking of an additional 125 million people comes to a total of 250 million people. Are you together? Yes, the reason why you see the government doing the Moyare road to Ethiopia is we realize we got to hook up to that country. And our people have been active, the business community, to be allowed by the Ethiopian government to tap into the 80 million people in that country. Once we open it up, then we have a much bigger marketplace. So what Ubrica is doing is not a Kenyan project. It's domiciled here, but it's an African project. And that's the mindset you got to do when you move into this. Please remember, when they were building the cathedrals of Europe, the guys who were building them knew that they will not live to see the end of it. Because the project will take 250 years to complete some of those cathedrals, read about them. But the guy who raised the foundation stone knows he's going to be long dead. But he can have an idea about how the cathedral will look like. That's the mindset you've got to do. You give it a shot. We are not coming back this way tomorrow. We are going somewhere else.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's give him. Yeah. Now I'm seeing the mood has changed.